Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all doing well. And welcome to a different kind of video. Today, we'll be talking about Bellerin versus Cedric. A lot of discussion about the two recently, especially after the City game and after the game we played the other day against Leicester. There's been a lot of discussion on both. So, decided to do this video. Going to express on what's the difference. What's the difference in their qualities? Who's better? Why is Cedric better in certain positions? Which position can Bellerin play better? So, gonna express, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome. So, I also did this video because of you're one of the reasons also why, because you've really been vocal on this topic recently.
Yeah. Not a big fan of
So,
Bellerin, but
yeah, so we'll be talking about Bellerin and Cedric, covering three different points of the difference in their qualities. So, by the way, before we even start, the one thing is we are not slandering Bellerin in this video. Still an Arsenal player. Right now, we still have three fullbacks, so we need every one of them until the end of the season because we have the Europa League, we have the Premier League still, and Cedric and Bellerin, both of them, and also Tierney, all of them are kind of injury prone the last 1 year, 2 years. So we never know when Cedric is going to get injured. We never know his team is going to be out again. So we'll need all three of them to be at the top of their game. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the defending Guna Express.
yeah, I think defending wise, there's two ways I think of seeing it. You've obviously got one-on-one defending in terms of a winger running at you. Obviously, being a fullback, you're
Yeah.
going to be going against quick wingers,
Yeah.
and then you've obviously got like zonal defending, stuff like that, where obviously you're in your back four or five, whatever we're playing, and the
Yeah.
attacking team is coming at us. I think Cedric for me is better in both areas. Tackles, interceptions, Cedric is better. If you look at the stats right now, Bellerin probably has more tackles and interceptions, but Cedric's appearances are like low. So I think if you compare like the averages between appearances and stuff like that, Cedric probably has a higher number. But even just watching Cedric, I'm more confident in Cedric defensively. Like against Leicester, for example, I was never worried about Harvey Barnes because I knew Cedric could do a job against him, and he did. If that was Bellerin, I'd have been instantly worried. And when a player, especially a defender, creates that sense where like your fans are scared of you playing in defensive terms, that's not good. Like we were all scared when Mustafi played and think, we know how bad of a defender Mustafi could be at certain times. So, creating that sense of fear essentially in your fans, obviously you aren't that good of a defender, but yeah.
So I agree that in one-on-one defending, let's say when Sterling is running to you, or Rashford is running to you, or a Neymar is running to you, I definitely prefer Cedric in that position. I feel like Bellerin gets so confused in what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing, so he's all over the place. Bellerin, though, I have a couple of advantages with him. A couple of years ago against Chelsea, I think we beat Chelsea 3-0. I think it was Conte's season. Where he had to change everything. As you can see in that position, Bellerin at the top, he was running against Pedro. Pedro, who's definitely not slow. Pedro is a very fast guy. Bellerin managed to catch up with him and make that tackle on him. Yes, do I think he's lost a bit of pace since then? I think so, and I think that is one of the disadvantages right now. But I've seen him do this a couple of times this season as well. A couple of years ago, again, I used to hate playing Swansea, by the way, away from home. Bafétimbi Gomez was attacking Czech. Czech did help with not really. Czech was a very good keeper at this, like one-on-one defending. He never used to like fall down and let him get chipped or stuff like that, or let the striker run past him. So as Bafétimbi Gomez was trying to make his decision or trying to see what he could do, Bellerin was on to him, and Bellerin had tackled him, and they got a corner from that position. You wouldn't actually believe it because that is like he was far, far away from him, and he managed to make that tackle. So that is one of the advantages with Bellerin. So if you have Bellerin defending that position, I think that's okay. Or running back, that's okay. I think it's better than Cedric. But one-on-one defending, which you're usually up against most of the time, because it's usually not every team that plays counterattacks and stuff. So I think you can make an argument for Bellerin, but Cedric is definitely better defensive-wise. So the second thing you're going to talk about is decision-making.
Yeah, especially going forward. Obviously, fullbacks, the main job is defending. But then fullbacks are also expected to go forward, put a few crosses in, etc. Like you look at the best fullbacks to ever grace the planet. That's what they did. They were defenders and attackers. You take in comparison to both, Bellerin probably was a better attacker again a few years ago. The pace, he made forward runs, he scored a decent amount of goals, got a couple of assists. Even this season, he's got, I think, 2 goals, or 1 or 2 goals, which is pretty good for a fullback. And then I think, again, like 1 or 2 assists. But you take in comparison to Trent Alexander-Arnold's attacking numbers, so much better. His crosses are better. His cross accuracy the last season was much better. Assists, much better. Like Bellerin and Cedric both aren't bad attacking fullbacks, but there's better out there. But the decision making for me, Bellerin goes forward a few times and he'll get caught out where like his space will be so open for a winger to go. And because nowadays wingers are moving faster than what they've used to been, he can't catch up because he's lost that pace. If Sterling's running, it'll be really difficult for Bellerin to catch up. Where with Cedric and Hasenhüttl, his old manager said this about him. He's so good at making decisions in terms of going forward. He's really good at reading, an opposition team, and he can predict whether they're going to get a turnaround and a counter attack, or if they're not. And we see it. How many times does Cedric get caught out where the attacker can run in behind him because he's too far forward? Barely ever, which is good because he gets forward. He puts crosses in. Has a few shots on target and stuff like that, and he still gets back and defends. Whereas Bellerin can't do that. So again, I think if Bellerin had that pace he had a few years ago, for me, he'd be undoubtedly the better player. But that pace was his main attribute, and he's lost that. Other than that, he wasn't really that good of a right back.
So that graphic on screen right now, as you can see, Bellerin is usually, I see Bellerin getting the ball so many times in that position, especially when it's like 10 minutes to go in a game like City at home last week. He had the ball in that position so many times, but he didn't try to be clever or something. He didn't try like a pass to Smith Rowe or try a chipped in cross to Lacazette. To be fair to him, I did see him do that at Old Trafford away, probably his best game of the season, where he crossed the ball to Saka and Saka missed an open header. Instead of passing the ball to Pepe or Smith Rowe to push forward and try something, it take the easier option to pass to Sabias, and then all of a sudden the ball is back to Leno. So Cedric is definitely better in that position. He can pick up to pass. He can try something clever, and we could be attacking all of a sudden. Plus, Gun Express, you want to talk about the game the other day about Pepe and Cedric?
Well, yeah. I don't think we've actually seen Pepe and Cedric play properly together in a Premier League match this season. We may have done on the left side, but on the right side we haven't. And wow, like people like to make the excuse that Pepe it's when he's in the mood, and I do agree that sometimes he just isn't up for a game. But you've got to put some of that performance on Cedric. How many times has Pepe played against a team with Bellerin and he plays worse? And I don't think that's because he's not in the mood. I think that's because he can't. For me, it was a matter of trust. Whenever Pepe plays with Bellerin, he doesn't go forward as much. He's scared to go forward because I think he knows that if he goes forward and Bellerin comes forward as well, there's going to be that space open. And Pepe is not a defensive player. Whereas with Cedric against Leicester, he was just, you can argue that they had Luke Thomas, who's a young player, so it was easy to beat him. But even then, he had so much confidence in going forward and just leaving that space because he knows Cedric will fill it and properly defend it. And again, Pepe got man of the match from me. A lot of people, it was split between him and Willian. And it was probably his best performance in an Arsenal shirt this season. So you've got to put some of that on Cedric because, again, Bellerin hasn't worked with him. Tierney doesn't even work that well with Pepe on that left side. So if that's the best option, then you've got to use that going forward.
Yeah. So the third thing you're going to talk about is the technical ability. Obviously, the fullback position has changed a lot over the years. Back in the days when we had Cafu, Maicon, those kind of players on the left side, the likes of Silvinho, Van Bronckhorst, those kind of players, it is really used to be defending. I know Silvinho and Van Bronckhorst scored a couple of goals here and there, but it really used to be about your defending. No one cared about your attacking. The days of Lee Dixon and Gary Neville, as long as you could defend, no one cared about your attacking ability. But these days, ever since Dani Alves, ever since the likes of Maicon, even Roberto Carlos, Alexander-Arnold recently, Reece James. You have to have some attacking ability. Tierney as well, taking on players and stuff. So technical ability, Cedric definitely has more. We've seen him taking such quality penalties against Liverpool twice in the Carabao Cup and Community Shield penalty shootouts. I've seen him taking a couple of free kicks at Southampton. He hasn't really taken many at Arsenal, but he did, I think, in the FA Cup, he almost scored against either Newcastle or Southampton. Bellerin definitely doesn't know how to take a free kick. Maybe we don't know about it, but he's never tried. Penalties, he's never ever taken. I don't remember any. Corner kick, Cedric is better. Crossing wise, Cedric is better. So the technical ability, you're going to give it to Cedric in Express.
Yeah, I mean, as well, you got to look at shooting. If you remember when Roberto Carlos first appeared on the scene, he was like the most unusual right back or left back, fullback we've ever seen. Because at the time, like you said, there was no fullback that could take a free kick. There was no fullback that could take a long shot. There was no fullback that could properly attack properly because they never had to.
Yeah.
And he did revolutionize the attacking fullback. And ever since then, if you can't attack as a fullback, you can't play as a fullback. Like, you will never be in a good team. Again, you look at Liverpool, Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold, for me, is not a good defender, but he's a world-class attacking footballer in terms of going forward. And then you look at Robertson, even, again, Tierney. Like, Tierney's the perfect example. The guy can defend, attack, cross, all of it. He can shoot. For me, Cedric's similar. If you remember his debut goal, I can't even remember who it was against, but I just remember him. He got the ball on the outside of the box, and he just wellied it, and it went in.
Norwich.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, Norwich.
No.
But yeah, like he had the confidence. We see Bellerin take shots. They go like out of the stadium. Like, we talk about how at least he's having a shot and at least he's having a go, and that's fair. But if Cedric can score them, but Bellerin can't, that makes Cedric the better player in that terms. And again, technical ability, the crossing. I've got a few little stats. This season in the Premier League, Cedric has a 29% crossing accuracy in 8 appearances. Now, a lot of those have been at left back, and we know that his left foot isn't as good as his right foot.
Yeah.
Bellerin has 22 appearances, and he has 23% crossing accuracy, and he's been playing right back every single game. So even Cedric on his weaker foot has a higher crossing accuracy in less games than Bellerin. And crossing is the bit for me with Bellerin. That what frustrates me is, again, we see that Cedric he'll cut inside, he'll go on his left foot, he'll run, he'll do he'll try and do something else. Bellerin's so fixated on running down that far right side and crossing the ball in, and that's great. But first off, you can't cross a ball. Second off, you can't beat a player one-on-one in terms of you winning, like with the ball. And again, third off, if you're going to do that, you might as well play Cedric because his crossing is better. Like, how many assists? We've seen him with the assists, like the Saka assist, like a week ago against Benfica.
Yeah.
Cedric got the ball left side, crosses it in straight to Saka. Bellerin has done that. Don't get me wrong; he should have got an assist against Benfica. Aubameyang should have scored that goal. But when do we see him doing that? Like, very rarely. Like, when he did that, we were all shocked that he put that ball in, and that's just a normal ball. So. Again, for me, what ruins Bellerin is the fans, in a sense that we're so used to how poor he is. We get shocked at simple things. We fearful when he plays, and again, that's a bad representation on Bellerin because the fans shouldn't be scared of you playing in terms of defensive errors and even going forward. But
speaking of scared, I think he's actually scared when he gets to that position. He really usually doesn't know what to do, whether to pass back, whether to try a cross, he usually looks confused, like he doesn't know what to do. Back in the day, like when we used to have Giroud and Sanchez, I think Bellerin was one of the best players in terms of when you have the ball in behind the defenders and is running into it to cross the ball, he was the best. Like, if you check our run in the FA Cup in 2015, 2017, I think in the quarterfinals, round of 16 in those competitions, Bellerin had the most assists. I remember him crossing the ball for Giroud in an Everton game in the, I think, quarterfinal of the 2014 FA Cup. I've seen him do that game we had against Leicester City where Ozil and Aubameyang were brilliant. Bellerin was exceptional in that game, crossing the ball twice for Aubameyang, I think 2 seasons ago, Emery season. In behind, he was very good. So I'd say, if you asked me this question 2 years ago, I'd say which defender is better when they have the ball attacking, I'd say Cedric. But which player prefers the ball to get in behind the defenders and cross the ball, I'd say Bellerin. But right now, the accuracy as well is not that good. So where we'll end it is by saying, I'm going to say that I think Bellerin, I don't know if you agree, Gune Express, I think Bellerin is better for us when we're playing a back five. That is what I always said since last season. I thought Bellerin, Niles, Kolasinac, all of them are better when you're playing a back five because they kind of prefer being on the sides and stuff and not defending too much. I prefer them to be on the right side or left side. So if you're playing a back five, I'd prefer Bellerin, but in a back four, which you're playing most of the times, I prefer Cedric.
Well, yeah, there's this classic thing that some people don't realize, that some fullbacks are better in a 3 at the back than a 4 at the back. And some people seem to think that that isn't true and that they're all good at both. Like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants Achraf Hakimi from Inter Milan. And I'm telling you now, he'll be just as worse as Bellerin for us because he's a 3 at the back footballer. When he played at Dortmund, when they played a 4 at the back, he wasn't good defensively. And at Inter Milan, he succeeded because they play a 3 at the back. I love Hakimi, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a bad baller. He isn't. But for Arsenal, if we're not playing 3 or 5 at the back, I don't want him. But yeah, I agree. I think with the 3 at the back, that gives Bellerin that extra solidity is, again, when he runs forward and he leaves that space open and he can't get back in time, there's that right centre-back who can come in and defend it, whether it's Holding or whoever. However, even then, we've seen times when we're playing a 3 at the back, Holding goes to defend Bellerin's position, he then gets exposed, and then, you know, if it's Louise or Tini or whoever else is in them centre-back positions, they get exposed as well. So, for me, Bellerin, I just don't think
it's a domino effect. When one person loses their position, the back five, all of them have to switch their positions.
I think when he has these links to Barcelona, everybody takes the mix saying, "Oh, we'll fail there." I don't think he will. I think he'll be one of Barcelona's best fullbacks, currently. I genuinely do, and the reason why is La Liga has very fast wingers. Don't get me wrong, but outside of maybe Atleti, Real, Barcelona, who's actually fast on the wing position, there isn't many. So he will succeed more in a league with slower wingers. Like in the Premier League, virtually every team has a fast winger. Like every team, Wolves have Neto, Podence, Adama. You know, everybody has a fast winger.
Yeah.
Like you look at Bellerin's best games. His best games are probably Burnley because they don't have fast players who can get in behind him, and then probably West Brom. Same thing. They don't have fast players who can get in behind him. So again, I'd let him go to Barcelona, take the money, and again, I hope he does well there because I think he will. But yeah, definitely Cedric right now for Arsenal, I think.
The thing I'd say about Bellerin this season, I need him to do more like what he did away at Old Trafford, where he picks the ball and runs into the box. I want to see you do that, and maybe you could get a penalty, maybe you could score a goal, or what he did against Leeds. Get yourself into the box, try something. Don't always pass the ball back or the stuff like that. So good point about Hakimi. I always see, not just Hakimi, I always see defenders like Semedo, defenders like, I think it's Tagliafico or something at Ajax.
Tagliafico,
Tagliafico, and then the fullbacks at Atalanta. I feel like they all prefer playing in a back five rather than a back four, because Semedo in the Premier League, he's been all over the place with that back four at Wolves. Even though I don't know if he's playing a back five at Barcelona, but
I think Wolves as a whole, I think I like that.
Yeah.
You know, they are a 5 at the back team. You look at Johnny and even Doherty. That's I think why he's failing at Tottenham, because he's a 3 at the back player, and Tottenham don't play a 3 at the back. So I'm sorry, but there are fullbacks who only can play in a 3 at the back. So that common myth that isn't true, it is true.
Yeah, so we have a lot of games remaining. Liverpool, we have Tottenham, we have the likes of Newcastle, Sheffield. So against the Sheffield, against a Newcastle, I wouldn't mind seeing Bellerin. Against the Tottenham, against the Liverpool, I'd prefer to see Cedric. You also have Europa League games. Depends on how he wants to approach those games. But yeah, that was Bellerin versus Cedric. Thank you, Gune Express, for coming on.
Thank you for having me on, man.
No problem, and I'll leave his link down to his channel as the second link in the description. So Bellerin versus Cedric, who's better? Let us know in the chat. So down below, let us know in the comment section. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to Everything Arsenal. Subscribe to Gune Express. We'll have more of these videos coming up soon because there are a lot of debates at Arsenal as usual. So thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.